It's Liam here from Rating the Races. So we have some good racing tomorrow at Windsor and Market Rasen, and also the ratings are free for everybody. So you can jump on the ratings, have a look at them, and see what you're missing out on, and see why you should be signed up to a premium or. So we have some selections for tomorrow, and we've actually got more than I was expecting for a Friday. But I think the card at Windsor looks very good, and there's a few horses here that I'm very excited about. Been looking forward to them for a little while, to be honest, and I think a few of them might have been aimed at this meeting in particular. Starting off with Deafening Silence in the 115 for the Skeltons. Currently priced up at what price is Deafening Silence? Let's have a look. I have a feeling the Skeltons might have a good day tomorrow. Deafening Silence is the 3-1 favourite, and to be honest, I think that's fair. I am a big fan of this horse, and I thought his chase debut when chasing home Trelawn and Iroko at Haydock, I thought that was a very, very good effort. I say chase debut. It was in the fact of, under rules, he'd obviously been in point-to-points, and he'd been a good point-to-point horse. He'd beaten Cine Nomine by 7 lengths at Alnwick back in December, albeit 2021, but he was only a 4-year-old at the time, so he was demonstrating he had ability at that stage. He then ended up winning a Grade 2 for the Skeltons in December 2023 over hurdles, and then they went over fences, and I've got a feeling he'll be just as good over fences, if not better, and yet he's probably not achieved as much yet. His first run over 2 mile 5, as I said, behind Trelawn and Iroko, I think that's really strong form in front of Hillcrest and Tamuras. That's really strong form for me. He then went to Cheltenham, finished 4th of 5 on the 13th of December in a race that I don't think he was ever going to get involved in. I don't think he was aiming to get involved. The 3 horses that actually beat him were rated 146, 145 and 151. Now, because it was a novice event, they weren't carrying their handicap marks. If it had been a handicap, Deafening Silence would have been getting, loads from those. He didn't move in the handicap after finishing 4th there. The fact that many people still like Caldwell Potter, Springwell Bay has done all right since. Django Bay is going to be a nice chaser as well. I just think that was really strong form, and I feel that they might have aimed at this Windsor meeting with Deafening Silence, and he's the one I definitely want to be on in that first race. Still looks unexposed. Some of the others are a little bit more exposed, even with them being novices still. And the likes of Jericho Ruck are surely going to need the run on his return. What price, as I said, you can currently get Deafening Silence at 3-1. I think that's a fair price. I think he's going to take all of the beating, to be honest. Moving on to Market Rasen for the 125. Now, it's a bit boring, this selection, in that it's a favourite. It's another favourite. It's another 3-1 favourite. But you know what? I think this is stronger than Deafening Silence, in the fact that when you come to veterans races, you generally find horses that are very exposed. Probably they're either coming back down the handicap and you're looking at something that now could win off its current mark, or you find a veteran that's been winning in veterans races and might have won a few of those. Grandad's Cottage, for a veteran, I'm going to say something that's a bit strange. I think he's still very unexposed. I think he's still improving. He's still going up in the handicap. If we go back to 2021, he was rated 128, 127 in 2023, 131, 130, 129, 134, 134, 133. Now he's up to 139. He's up to a career high. Now, it's not that he's come down in the handicap. I think he's up to a career high. He's over the right trip. He was very impressive at Carlisle in a normal handicap. Granted, he beat a fellow veteran in Lieutenant Command, but there was other horses in that race: Lounge Lizard, William of York, Prairie Wolf, who were younger horses, and they weren't good enough to beat Grandad's Cottage. Grandad's Cottage was very carefully ridden that day. Although he won by 10 lengths and went up £6, I think he could have gone up a lot more for that. I don't feel that this horse has reached his ceiling yet. And yet, which is a strange thing to say for a veteran who's, 10 years old. I think this is an easier race for him. I think he'll win this and look very interesting for the Unibet middle distance final. I think he'll take all of the beating. I think this horse could end up near a 150 by the end of the season. And yet he's only 139 at the moment. He's 3-1 favourite. I don't mind that at all. I think he should be shorter than that. I think he should be, based on that there's still more to come from him. And he's up against a lot of exposed, they've reached their ceiling. Grandad's Cottage hasn't, in my opinion. So that is my second selection. That is Grandad's Cottage. Moving back to Windsor for the 225, and a horse that I highlighted. We actually backed this horse last time, didn't we? Panic Attack. I think she will take all of the beating tomorrow. We backed her last time. She had a comeback run in December, early December. She ran really well. I was quite happy with that. And then she came back to Newbury and I thought, she can win that this time over that 2-mile trip. Maybe she needed further. She had been up to 3 mile. She ran nicely without ever looking like she was really going. Well, she travelled into it nicely, but then didn't pick up. This extra half a mile, that could be key here. And if it is, I think she wins tomorrow. I really do. She's a shorter price than what I was definitely hoping for the video. She was bigger price earlier on in the week. She was bigger price even yesterday. When we highlighted her, she was still available at 100 to 30. She's now 5 to 2. It's now up to you whether you want to get on at 5 to 2. I still think she wins. I think she's quite unexposed still, even as a 9-year-old, and I think she's the best horse in this race. That extra half mile, and as I said, I think the Skelton's going to have a good day tomorrow. We move on. We go back to Market Rasen for the Veterans Final, which has been rerouted to Market Rasen. What was it meant to be at Haydock, and then it went to Wetherby, and now it's been rerouted again to Market Rasen. But we're going to stick with our selection, Sam Brown. So Sam Brown is now 13. But I thought his effort 2 runs ago behind the Real Whacker and Brave Man's Game was good form. I think that's better form than what any of the others have shown recently. Last time out, okay, finished 10th. Only went off 16 to 1 after finishing 10th in the Coral Gold Cup, formerly the Hennessy. I mean, that's still top quality racing. Probably too far. Probably a bit above his level that he is. But now he's back into veteran company. He's up against older horses. He's up against the exposed older horses. He dropped £1. So he's dropped from 156 to 154 to 153. And now Chad's going to take a very useful £10 off. So he's effectively running off 143. When he went to Warwick for the Veterans Final in 2024, he actually won the race off 147. He's effectively running off 143 this year. I don't see any reason why he doesn't take all of the beating here, to be honest. I really like this horse. I think he's been a real credit to Connections for many a year. He keeps running well. I think as soon as he gets down to a handicap mark that he can win off, he gets back involved again. And this mark of an effective 143, I think that'll be enough to see him run a huge race here against these other older horses. What price can we get about him? Let's just have a look. Where is it? It's Market Rasen, the 235. Bigger than I think he should be. I think he should be nearly favourite, Sam Brown, to be honest. I think his Hennessy effort wasn't disastrous, and it was better races than what Copperhead and Eldorado Allen had been in. Copperhead last time out finished second behind Numitor at Cheltenham in a veterans race. He'd finished second behind Certainly Red in a veterans race. This isn't veterans. His last 4 runs had actually been in veterans races. He's out of Sam Brown's dropping into veteran races, and I just feel that, I think they're easier races, these veterans races, than open company races. And I'd be disappointed if Sam Brown doesn't put up a really good show here off a very low mark, because Chad is taking off a massive £10. Back to Windsor for the 3 o'clock. Now, this is a bit of a risky one. Now, I'm taking on the Dan Skelton Langadan on the basis that it's January. And to be fair, they have always said that this horse is a spring horse, Langadan, and his January form is very moderate. He was beaten last year in January, 14th of 19 in a Coral Lanzarote hurdle. In January 2023, he was 8th of 9 in a rail kill, but beaten 35 lengths. The year before that, even in February, he was beaten. He was 6 of 6 in a handicap hurdle off 140, beaten 10 lengths by Ajero. Ajero, Fontana, Elise, Zambezi Fix, Timberman, Birds of Prey. Very moderate. So I'm taking Langadan on the basis that he can't win that because he's not being aimed at that. It's all about the stayers hurdle for him. The horse I do like here is Blue King Daru. I think it was out of those two. In my mind, I had it out of those two horses. So I'm going with Blue King Daru on the basis of a couple of things. So first of all, he's dropping back in trip. Maybe he doesn't quite get that 3 mile trip. His 3 mile form, he's finished 5th of 10 in a long walk, beaten 10 lengths, and then he was 6th of 10 last time in the long walk, beaten 4 lengths. But his 2.5 mile form is probably a bit stronger. He won at Ascot in November 2023 in a Coral Hurdle, beating Strong Leader. That's good form. He also he was second to Lucky Place in a Howden Ascot Hurdle in November. Now, Lucky Place obviously came out and won the rail kill, franking that form at Cheltenham. So maybe he just bumped into a graded horse again. Has he got graded 2.5 mile horses in against him here? Probably not. Langadan was the one that I think could be, but because his January form is so pathetic, I think Blue King Daru is the one to be on. The only negative about Blue King Daru is it's Paul Nicholls, and Paul Nicholls horses generally don't run great in January. However, at least the trainer is back from his holidays now. Maybe he's back from his holidays to come and watch Blue King Daru at Windsor because he knows he's got him ready. It's only been 27 days since he's had a run. Maybe this one hasn't had his jabs yet. That's normally why the Nicholls horses disappoint, is they have their flu jabs. And that just means that leaves the lid a mark and they don't run particularly well on their next start. But maybe he's not had it yet. He can win this race, then have the jab and then go to Cheltenham or potentially Aintree. So yeah, Blue King Daru at 5-2. If it was February, I'd be really keen on Blue King Daru here. And I think he would be a lot shorter. This is all about that flu jab for me. And I'm hoping he's not had it yet. And at 5-2, I'm prepared to take a chance that he hasn't. We stick at Windsor and we go for the 335, the feature handicap. 57 grand to win this, the Fitzdares Sovereign handicap hurdle. And the horse I like here is, I'm pleased to see, top rated on our ratings. He is the highest rated horse in the race, so he does have to give a lot of weight away. But I think he's the one that I don't have as many question marks over this 2 mile trip. I do for the likes of Beat the Bat. Beat the Bat I feel wants further. Knickerbocker Glory runs well first time out, particularly at Sandown. Some of the others may not quite be ahead of their mark. Whereas I kind of feel Brentford Hope will run another solid race. He ran second in a feature handicap over at Punchestown, beaten by Daddy Longlegs. Now, Daddy Longlegs had been regarded as a bit of a plot job, or not a plot job, but one that was, absolutely thrown in. And he probably demonstrated that by winning at the 16-5 favourite. Brentford Hope at least beat everything else in that race. A big handicap. He's got that big handicap form. He then came out and ran at Wincanton in the Elite Hurdle, finishing second behind Rabaul. Now, I really like Rabaul. I think Rabaul is a very smart Grade 2 horse. As soon as he comes into Grade 1 company, he's not good enough. But Grade 2, I think he's good enough to win races. So, on that basis, maybe Brentford Hope got beat by a Grade 2 horse. So, you're going to have to be a Grade 2 horse to beat him here, or very well handicapped. Granted, Cabral de Matan could well be that for Paul Nicholls, but we're taking that Paul Nicholls angle that I know we're saying it's 27 days again. If there's a little bit that it doesn't quite... I kind of feel that Blue King Daru could win it at 90% the race before. Cabral de Matan, I kind of feel needs to be 100% to win this. And if he's not, then Brentford Hope is the one that can take advantage. And I was looking at this race thinking, there's 3 or 4 that I'm interested in. But then I looked at the prices, and that definitely swayed me. Definitely swayed me to Brentford Hope, because he's such a bigger price compared to those that I was interested in. I was interested in Hansard, who should step forward. I was interested in Cabral to Matan. And I was interested in Brentford Hope. But Brentford Hope is 16s. I'm going to take a chance on Brentford Hope being able to run a really nice race here. And I think he's too big at 16s. 2 more. Back to Market Rasen, first of all, for the 3:45. And the horse we like here is Jeffrey's Cross. He is one of our horses to follow this year. And he returned after what was it? It was a really long break, wasn't it? 581-day break, when finishing 3rd at Windsor in a handicap chase in December. Now, he was really weak in the market that day, drifted out to 6-1. If he'd been anywhere near his best or anywhere near fit, he would have gone off much shorter. He would have gone off at least second favourite, if not favourite that day. He wasn't. He drifted really badly in the market, went off 6-1, clearly needed the run. He's had the run. Now he's back. I think he can run a huge race, particularly as the handicapper left him alone off 117. I don't think 117 is anywhere near his mark. I think he's a mid to high 120s horse. Tristan actually takes 3 off as well, so he's effectively running for 114. He's got fitness on his side now. It's an easier race. I don't see any negatives about Jeffrey's Cross here. I think he will take all of the beating. Yes, he's not the biggest price. If we have a look, he is currently, where is it? So Market Rasen, it's the 345. He's not the biggest price. He's opened at 3s. If you can get 3s across the board, I think that's a fair price about him. I think he's the best horse here. He's most unexposed. And he will be able to beat these now. He's got fitness on his side. And finally, we go back to Windsor for one more race. I looked at this race, and I looked at this before the decks were confirmed. And there was a horse in this that I was really looking forward to. And that was Petit Tonnerre. 2 mile 6 over fences. He's got a handicap mark. I was like, yep, that's the one we want to be on. John Joe O'Neill and John Joe O'Neill Jr. did not... John Joe O'Neill is his brother, and then their son is the other jockey, John Joe O'Neill Jr. But whoever it is, didn't declare Petit Tonnerre. But they did declare is it Has Thing or Hast Hing? Yeah, it's got to be Has Thing, hasn't it? They did declare Has Thing. Probably on the basis we don't need to declare Petit Tonnerre because we're going to win it with Has Ting. Or Has Thing. And I think they will win it with him. They stepped him up in trip last time. Back up over fences now. Up to 2.5 mile at Windsor. And he was a very impressive winner. He beat Dalaho Tommy and attacked very comfortably. Winning it nicely. He went up £7. I don't think that's enough. We've got to remember, last year he went off favourite for the novices handicap final at Sandown, which is generally a race that works out well. It's generally a race that works out well for chasers. Those types of horses end up being really solid chasers and do massively progress. Well, the fact that he went off favourite 3-1 off a mark of 119 and his chase mark is only 125, I think there's so much more to come from this horse over fences. He goes up in trip again to 2 mile 6. I don't see any negatives about this, to be honest. Yeah, really like this horse. He'd been showing, good levels of form. Made his return when 4th, quite weak in the market, to be fair, that day. For a novice's handicap chase, over 2 mile, he went off 7-2. Then when they went up in trip, he went off 11-8. They knew he was going to appreciate that step up in trip. He's won at Windsor. For me, there's no negatives about him. And with that in mind, I think he's going to take all of the beating. He's currently available at 7-2. It's not the biggest of prices, but yeah, he's one that I think will be able to really kick on now that he's both up in trip again and probably trying. I don't think he was trying on his first run back this season. So there are my selections for tomorrow. A quick recap. A Deafening Silence now into a handicap is very key for deafening silence. I don't think the handicap has got his mark right. Grandad's Cottage, I actually think is still improving, despite being a veteran. He's running against veterans now. Panic Attack, yes, she's short enough. I think she wins. She's gone up in trip. She travelled nicely last time, didn't pick up. She's got everything in her favour now. Sam Brown, £10 off from Chad Bayman, I think throws this horse really into the equation. He's back down to a mark that he can certainly win off then. Blue King Daru, I think it's the best. I think it's the second best horse in the race. The best horse in this race is Langadan. I don't think Langadan will be trying, but I do think Blue King Daru will be trying, and I think this trip is ideal. Brentford Hope is just too big at 16s to ignore. He did come out top rated on our ratings, which was good as well. I thought his effort behind Rabaul was a very good effort last time out. Jeffrey's Cross, if he comes out about 3-1 everywhere else, I'll be very happy with that. Drops in class, easier race, dropped in the handicap, stayed on the same handicap mark. Tristan Durrell takes £3 off, and now has fitness on his side. And finally, Has Thing now goes up slightly further in distance. The O'Neills could have ran Petit Tonnerre, which I think they would have won it this race. They didn't need to because they've got the one that will win it anyway with Has Thing.